Estates and real property. How much do you own? What is your estate? The amount of real property, your extent of your interest in real property, in real estate, is your estate. I own a big house and 5 acres of land. That's your estate. I own 3 houses and you know, I rent out 2 of them. That's still, I own them. Or you can be like Oprah and have 165 houses and all over the place and rent them out, or she lives in them or whatever. Oprah has a house everywhere. I swear to, I was looking, every time I look at houses that are owned by celebrities, Oprah has a house there. I was looking today for Maui, and Oprah bought a 165-acre plantation in Maui. So the gal got some money. And she has, I know she had a house down here in South Carolina. I believe she has one in North Carolina. Obviously she has one in Chicago. That's where she lives. Out in, she got houses all over the place. So, and I'm not talking about little shacks. I'm talking about houses, 165 acres in Maui. Anybody want to figure out how much that is? So that is her estate. That's what she owns in real estate, all right? So this estate in real property, okay, estate in real property is how much I own in real estate, okay? It's not my entire estate, because that takes me into personal property and money in the bank and things of that nature. But my estate in real property is, do I own 1 house? Do I have, you know, how much of it do I have on mortgage? Am I sole owner? Am I proprietor? Whatever, okay? That's my estate in real property. We can either have freehold estates, ownership, or leasehold estates, which would be non-freehold, or you have possession, all right? That is a tenant, okay? That is a tenant. All right, so there are 4 different types of tenancy. We're going to talk about them in chapter 11 and 12 in detail. Okay, so, but just for now, we're going to talk about the non-freehold estates. What are they? So there are 4 of them. If you're a tenant, you either have an estate for years, right? An estate for years. Now, it does not have to be multiple years. It doesn't even have to be for 1 year. Anything that has a specific beginning date and a specific end date. It could be for a week. It's considered an estate for years. It has a specific beginning date and a specific end date. Then we have what's called a estate from year to year, which is a periodic tenancy. Your normal annual renewal, and you stay there, it just automatically renews. You go to the next year, maybe there's a little increase, and you just stay there until either the landlord gives you notice or you give notice to the landlord. And it's over and over. It's a periodic tenancy or an estate from year to year. Now, again, we'll get into more detail when we get into chapter 11 and 12. All right. The next one is what's called an estate at will. I lease. And I go to my landlord and say, hey, my job just gave me notice that I have a 5-year lease here, and I am going to, they're going to move me in 2 years. I don't know the date yet, but I'd like to stay here, and we've had a good relationship. Would you let me out of my lease? But I can't tell you the specific date. And the landlord says, okay, I'll tell you what. You stay there until you have to go. So I don't really have an end date yet. I know that's happening, but I don't have an end date yet. All right, that would be an estate at will. That would be an estate at will. We have an end date. Same thing with, let's say I live in a house that I rent, but I know that the government's going to take it via eminent domain. We're not sure when they're going to take it, but they are going to take it. They're going to make a roadway there. So that house is going to get torn down. Well, I have what's called an estate at will, because the landlord's going to say, all right, just stay there until they take the land. Once they do, then you're going to have to leave. But until then, you can stay in the land. All right. That's an estate at will. Okay. So an estate for years has a beginning, an actual beginning, and an actual end date. An estate from year to year is a periodic tenancy, which kind of rotates, rolls over, right? An annual renewal. An estate at will says that it's going to end. We just don't have an end date yet. We're trying to figure that out. And the last one is an estate at sufferance. And an estate at sufferance means that you got there legally, but your tenancy has expired and you haven't left yet. You are what's called a holdover tenant. You are now there illegally. Okay? So you got there legally, you're expired, your year was up or your 2 years were up, but you haven't left. And you have no plans of leaving, and you don't have a contract. You don't have any kind of a lease. So that's an estate at sufferance. You would be considered a holdover tenant. Holdover tenant. Like I said, a lot more detail to come in chapter 11. But don't worry about it now. Just want to introduce those. Let's talk about freehold estates. Freehold is when we what? We own it. This is when we own it. We bought this property. We have what's called a freehold estate. And we're going to talk about 4 different types, all right? Fee simple, defeasible, life estates, and ordinary conventional life estates. Per Autre V is for life another, all right? So the first one, the word fee. The word fee is ownership. It's inheritable, okay? The word fee means this is inheritable and you can give it to your heirs, all right? The best kind of ownership we can get is a fee simple absolute. What that tells me is that nobody can take this house away from me. I can do whatever I want, pending government restrictions and rules and regulations, all right? This is mine, and it is inheritable. It's not a blue word or a red word, it is a green one, but that's what the word fee means, it's inheritable. What if we had a fee simple defeasible? A fee simple defeasible fee means that it can be taken away from us. We may have ownership. We may be able to leave it to our heirs. It's still inheritable, but it could be under certain circumstances, it can be taken away. So there are 2 different types of these circumstances, all right? And the first one is a fee simple subject to a condition subsequent. If something is going to happen subsequently, what does that mean? It's going to happen down the road, right? I'm going to do this, and then subsequently, this is going to happen, all right? So this is a fee simple subject to a condition subsequent, all right? So what this says is that the owner must not perform some action going forward. I have a little grocery store, and it does not have any alcohol in there. And Hunter comes and he wants to buy my store. And I say, I'll tell you what, Hunter, I'll allow you to buy my store. I'll sell it to you as long as you do not sell alcohol in the future. From this point on, no alcohol. There hasn't been any, all right? I'm going to give you a fee simple subject to a condition subsequent. Hunter buys the property, says fine, all right? About a year later, I drive by that property and I see the Budweiser truck in front of that property. Now, I know Hunter wasn't getting a house delivery. I figure that he is getting something to the store. I go into the store and sure enough, there is an entire field of liquor for sale. Beer, liquor, wine, whole thing. I can go to the court and say, okay, I gave Hunter purchased this under a condition subsequent, which said that there is no alcohol to be sold on this premises. And here's the pictures. He's got them. Here's the Budweiser truck in front. All right. There's Hunter holding this magnum of Cristal. All right. Here it is. He's selling it. Somebody's got it. I want my property back. And the judge can say, okay, legitimately, Sam, you get your property back. He broke the rules. Okay, he broke the rules. He doesn't get his money back. He loses property, period. Comes back to me. All right. So that is a fee simple subject to a condition subsequent. Now keep in mind that word condition. It's a C word that means I have to go to court to get it back. Okay. And this is a condition subsequent, something that's going to happen down the road. So I have the right to go back and get it through court proceedings. I have to go to court. So that is a fee simple subject to a condition subsequent. A fee simple determinable means that something has to continue, and if it stops, I get my property back. So let's say I'm leasing to the hospital 50 acres of land right behind the hospital that they're using for a children's health center. They built a temporary building using it for a children's health center. I sell them the building with a fee simple determinable that says that you must continue. It's not a condition subsequent, it's determinable, it's right now. You must continue to use this land for the children's health center. And the only way you can change the land, what you're doing, is to build a bigger building and still continue to use it for a children's health center. Well, I drive by there one day and there is no more children's health center. They've wiped it down, they've made it a parking lot. Because it is a fee simple determinable, I automatically get it back. It's an automatic reversion, okay, to my grantor. And if I'm not alive, my heirs, it automatically comes back to me. All right. So a determinable comes back. Now, it's not that easy. All right. If I went into that hospital and said, all right, I'm taking my land back, get your cars off of it, I'm plowing this under, you think I have a hard time getting it back? Probably. I'm going to get the court's help. But it's not going to be a judge that's putting me back, a judge that's going to put me back. It's going to be the contract, right? Yeah, court is almost always involved. It's going to be the contract. I'm going to show it to him and say, hey, fee simple determinable, he's supposed to use this. And he's going to say, okay, your property, you got it. Here it is. Here's the language. He doesn't even have to make a decision. Then they're going to have to give me my land back, and now I can sell it or do whatever I want with it again. Fee simple subject to a condition subsequent means that you can't do something down the road. Okay, you do anything else, don't do this. Or a fee simple determinable means you're using it for this, don't change it. If it's a condition subsequent, I have to let the court decide whether I go back. Condition subsequent, court, see. If it is determinable, it's automatic. It's an automatic reversion. Yeah, then they become squatters. Then we get then we go get the sheriff again. Yeah, me and the sheriff are on like a first name basis. Look, if you're in property, you better know the judge. You know the magistrates. You know the judges. You know the sheriffs. They know you. It's not something you want. It's just a necessary part. And if you're in property management, you're on a first name basis with all of those people, right? The clerk of the court, you're going to know how to file the papers. You're going to have to know how to do the administrative stuff. The magistrate's going to meet you by first name. You get to know them all. And that's, it's one of those things. All right. Condition subsequent means I got to go to court. It's for something that's going to happen in the future. Fee simple determinable means that it automatically reverts back. It was something that was going on, and then they stopped it. All right. They stopped doing this. They lost the property. Let's talk about non-inheritable estates in real estate. Non-inheritable. Let's say grandma and grandpa lived up on the hill and they have a beautiful house up there and they got 10 acres and grandpa passes away. And it happens to be my grandma, and grandma comes to me and says, Sam, I got a problem. I said, what's your problem? And she says, well, grandpa's gone now and I don't have any of his money left and I'm going to have a hard time paying the mortgage and everything else. I know that you've been interested in the house for a long time. Can you help me out? So I say, all right, grandma, here's the deal. I will buy your house from you. I will even give you what's called a life estate. Grandma, you pay the taxes, you pay the insurance, you maintain the property. I will buy the house. I'll give you the money for the house, and I will own it. I'll own the house, but you handle it. So even if grandma's got a little curio shop that she's selling at the house, she can continue to do all of that. Okay. So grandma has a life estate, which means that grandma can stay there for as long as she is alive or until she wants to move. That is a life estate. Now, when grandma passes on, can she leave it to anybody else? No, grandma doesn't own the house anymore, right? So it's non-inheritable. I own the house, okay? So she can't will it to anybody. all right? So that's a conventional life estate. That's how that works, all right? I give grandma the ability to stay in the house. She pays for taxes, insurance. She maintains the property. She does all of that. She runs it like she used to, and it's all good, right? Grandma passes or decides to go move somewhere else. I get the property back. I would be the reversioner. And life estate per Autre V, All right, a little bit of French for our real estate class. I bet you didn't know you're going to learn French. Good for us. A life estate per Autre V means for the life of another. Let's say me and grandma don't like one another. We haven't really, she never said hi to me. Every time she just was mean to me all my life, right? And my mother, who I love to death, comes to me and says, grandma's got a problem. I said, what's the problem, Mom? Says, grandma can't pay the bills. Grandpa passed away. She's having trouble, everything else. Would you help her out? And I said, no. Mom says, please, it's for me. I don't want grandma put on the street. She needs to live somewhere. She's lived in that house for 50 years. The whole story. I say to my mom, Mom, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will give grandma a life estate per Autre V. And my mom says, well, what's that? And I say, well, I will give her a life estate as long as you stay alive. So per Autre V means for the life of another. For the life of another. So now grandma can stay in the house as long as mom stays alive. Okay, as long as mom stays alive. She now becomes, my mom becomes my measuring life. Grandma is the life tenant. Mom is the measuring life, all right? Now, I will tell you that if mom passes, grandma is out. Grandma is back in that refrigerator box. I got one refrigerator box and a pickle jar. She can go live in the refrigerator box, all right? Out. Mom is the measuring life, right? Mom passes away, grandma got to go. Now, if it reverts to me, I am the reversioner. But let's say mom's the measuring life, she's still alive, and grandma passes away. Mom says, well, I'd like to live there. I said, I'll tell you what, instead of it coming back to me as the reversioner, grandma passes, you can take it over. You're what's called the remainder man, remainder person. So now mom moves in and becomes the life tenant. Okay, now I can assign somebody else if I want to, and to be the reversioner if I want it. Otherwise, it would revert back to me, right? It would revert back to me. I could let somebody else be the remainder man. Sorry, I said reversioner. Okay, so that's how that works. So grandma is the life tenant. Mom, in this particular case, is per Autre V, the life estate per Autre V. She is for the life of the other. She's the measuring life. She is the remainder man. I am the reversioner. I'm the reversioner. If it reverts back to me, I own it. That's the reversioner. If I give it to somebody else, they are a remainder man. Okay. So mom would move in for that. All right. So let's look at this through another set of eyes and not mom and grandmom or anybody else. Okay. Grandpa here, he is the owner of the property. Okay. He's the owner of the property. And grandson here has a wife and 2 kids. Grandson wants to live there. Grandpa's been saying to grandson, get a haircut or get a real job, right? Get out there. But he doesn't. So grandpa gives him this because dad here, he gives them a life estate per Autre V because dad is the measuring life. Okay, dad's the measuring life. Now, remember, see what it says here? It's inheritable. So dad's the measuring life. So that means that Junior can stay there as long as dad stays alive. Grandma, mom, right? Okay. If dad dies, the property goes back to grandpa, right? Or goes to a remainder person, another third party, if that's the case. So it reverts back, but that means that Junior is out. Okay, Junior's out. Now, the way it's temporarily inherited is this. Dad is still the measuring life, right? He's still measuring life. So grandpa still says dad is measuring life, but the son, Junior dies. So now there's two kids, and there is two kids and the wife that are still there. They do not have to leave as long as grandpa or dad here is still alive. The measuring life, okay, the measuring life is still alive. So the kids can take the, can stay there as long as dad is alive. If dad dies, kids got to go. Mom's got to go. It's going to revert back or otherwise. Can you make a life tenant the remainder man? You might be able to in this particular case, right? Because if the measuring life is here is dad and dad dies, then yeah, he could get it. He could get it, right? He would just be another. He'd just be a life tenant. We just have a straight. We wouldn't have per autre view per autre v. Right? Why would anybody do that? Probably for the same reason that I did it to grandma. There are people who, I have the money, mom doesn't have the money. Or mom has the money and I don't have the money. So maybe mom's got to come, with her hat in her hand and say, could you please help? And I'll do it, but I'm only there to satisfy who? Mom. I'm not really worried about satisfying grandma. I'm there to satisfy mom. So in that particular case, that's why they would do per autre v. Because I don't have any real, grandma and I never had a relationship, right? So we're in this example, I'm taking care of my mom and making her happy by leaving grandma in the house. That's per autre v. And that's why you would do it. That's why you do it. And I'm sure there's other reasons, but that's one of the main reasons I would think that you would do it. So we do have some rights as life tenants, right? They're entitled to all the income and profits that arise during the life tenancy. Remember I said grandma had that little curio shop? She can run it. She can do whatever she wants with it. She makes the money off it. All I have is ownership in that property. What if grandpa dies first? His heirs get it. His heirs become the reversioners. Okay, it just goes to his whoever he left it to. The tenant can use some of the resources. Maybe they have to cut down a tree or two for firewood or something like that on the property. Those are called estovers. And they can, as long as they don't damage the property and they don't use all of the resources, they're not allowed to use all of them, but maybe they have a fireplace and they want to cut down trees to use for the fireplace, they can do that, all right? So the tenant may not permanently damage property by destroying resources. Can't do all of that. And you can sell or mortgage the life tenancy. I own it, right? Grandma lives there, but maybe Shamara wants to buy my house. I can sell it to Shamara, but she's gonna have grandma living in that house until grandma passes. Okay, so I can still sell that house. All right, I can mortgage it. I can get a mortgage. I can do whatever. Okay, so we talked about these two things, right? Remainder interest means that what? The third party. If grandma passes, mom gets the house. Okay, that's a third party. She has a remainder person interest in it. A reversion interest would be I get the house back. Grandma passes, I get the house back. It's my house. My wife and I have been married for 20 years. And before I met my trophy wife, I was married for 20 years to a woman who was a great woman. She gave me 3 kids, and we just decided that my trophy wife was better for me. Good for me, right? So I have a will that I never changed when I got married that says that all of my belongings and my house now belong to my 3 kids. And my new wife is not included in there at all. Well, she's been living with me for 20 years. So do you think my kids are going to be real happy about dad's trophy wife staying in the house that they now own? The chances are pretty good they're going to kick her to the curb, right? Fairness is that she's been living there for 20 years. I didn't make any kind of restitution for her. I didn't make any kind of anything that would provide for her or anything else. I left her out. I never changed the will. North Carolina provides for what's called a marital life estate. And what she can do is she can go to court and say, hey, look, I am entitled to some place to live. I've lived with this guy for 20 years before he died, right? I can't just be kicked to the curb. I am entitled to some of this. Now, the judge in the court will decide how long that is based on time with me. If I just met her 6 weeks ago and we got married in Las Vegas and we came home, she's probably not going to get anything. But if I'm 20 years married to this woman and I never made a provision for her, the judge is going to take that in consideration. So he may give her 10 years as a life estate or whatever that is. It's all up to the judge, and it's all based on how long they've lived together. Okay, so there is no, I can't give you a number. It would be up to the judge, all right? So that's called a marital life estate. Even though my will said it goes to my kids, in this particular case, she's been living with me for 20 years. I can't just boot her out. They can't just boot her out. She gets to live there for another period of time. She's going to have to go to court and let the judge decide that. And the next one is called a homestead. I live in the house. Now, I have to pay my property taxes. I have to take my mortgage. I pay my mortgage. I have to do all those things that are directly involved on the mortgage, all right, on the property. But let's say I was out driving one day. I was very careless and I wrecked somebody's BMW 700 series. It's about $150,000 in the dumpster. Totaled it. And my insurance only going to pay, I don't have any insurance, or I got really crappy insurance. So my insurance is only going to pay him $25,000. The judge is going to say, Sam, you have a lien on yourself, personal lien, for the other $125,000. You got to come up with it. And we're going to attach a lien to your property. And we're going to give you 1 year to pay it. Well, what they can't do, they can garnish my wages, they can do everything else. But the state of North Carolina and every other state have a little more restrictions. But the state of North Carolina says that I can protect $35,000 on my house. So they can't just come and take my house to pay for that lien. Okay? So I'm protected for $35,000, which means I always have $35,000 in equity. So that means that they can't take it. All right, based on that lien. Now, if I don't pay my property taxes, they can take it. If I don't pay my mortgage, they can take it. Those are direct liens on the property. But a judgment, right, or a any kind of lawsuit or anything else, they can't just come and take your house. Okay, they can't just come and take your house. You're protected for a certain amount of money. Mm-hmm. So this is a legal life estate that protects you from outside creditors for liens and personal liens and things of that nature. Do you have to name a remainder man when you have a life tenant and a measuring life? Not necessarily. You can just do a reversion. You can just do a reversion and you're fine.
If you like this video, feel free to share it with a friend. For more real estate education content, please subscribe to the channel. From all of us at Seacoast Real Estate Academy, thank you for watching.